Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. We are diving straight into the legacy of a literal, lifetime love today. We're going to unpack the surprising history of a legendary 1991 rock anthem and then walk through a story directly inspired by its core message. It's going to be a fun journey to figure out what absolute, unshakable romantic certainty actually sounds like. So, what does that certainty sound like? Well, let's take a look at Love of a Lifetime. If you've been to literally any wedding in the last 30 years, you've probably heard this one. It's the iconic power ballad written by the late great C.J. Snare and guitarist Bill Laverty of the American rock band Firehouse. But this track isn't just some catchy melody. It's honestly a masterclass in capturing a very specific, incredibly powerful human emotion. And what's really fascinating here is how the song completely flips the script on its own genre. Think about your typical hair metal ballads from that era. They were almost entirely focused on heartbreak, desperate longing, or, fleeting flings. Love of a Lifetime, though, it's an unvarnished, totally unapologetic celebration of commitment, deep gratitude, and actually looking forward to the future together. It wasn't about the thrill of the chase, it was all about the arrival. Just think about these lyrics for a second. With you, I never wonder, will you be there for me? The absolute crucial takeaway here is that these lines perfectly capture the ultimate power of emotional security. It's that profound, lightning bolt realization that your search is finally over. You aren't guessing anymore, you aren't playing games, you just know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this person is your absolute anchor. But I think what makes the track so incredibly timeless is that it isn't blindly naive about it. By declaring the road is long, but our love is strong, the song openly acknowledges that, hey, the future's not going to be easy. There are definitely difficulties ahead. But it frames true love as this deeply resilient partnership built specifically for weathering those inevitable storms. It's not just a fleeting feeling, right? It's a shared, conscious choice. Now here is the wild, behind-the-scenes irony of its inspiration. C.J. Snare actually wrote this definitive anthem of romantic certainty while he was playing solo gigs at a Holiday Inn way before he had ever met his own true love. He didn't write this about an existing relationship. No, he wrote it out of this deeply hopeful, heartfelt aspiration of what true love would feel like when he finally found it. He was basically manifesting absolute certainty through his music. How crazy is that? Okay, moving right along to Section 1, a diner confession on a wish and a prayer. Let's actually see how the spirit of this song plays out in a narrative. Picture Julian and Clara, right? Two best friends just trying to navigate the terrifying ambiguity of their 20s. They're sitting in this quiet little highway diner. You know the vibe. The windows are slicked with rain, there's a buzzing neon sign outside, and their cold cups of coffee are just sitting there untouched. Their comfortable day-by-day orbit has suddenly grown incredibly heavy, with all these things left unsaid. And then, out of nowhere, Clara completely shatters that comfortable status quo. She looks down at her paper napkin and just drops this on him. I'm leaving for Chicago on Tuesday. The firm finalized the transfer. It is a massive career move for her. But for Julian, it's the sharp, agonizing realization that his window of time to finally speak up about how he truly feels has pretty much run out. So Julian reaches across the table, puts his hand over hers, and makes this desperate confession. He says, "Stay for us. With you, Clara, I don't have to wonder anymore." He's literally begging her not to go. And this sudden confession directly echoes the song's core theme of that absolute romantic certainty we just talked about. He tells her she's the one, just laying all of his cards completely on the table. And then, as if it was perfectly queued up by the universe itself, at that exact moment, this ancient, neglected jukebox in the corner of the diner just clicks into life. Someone had dropped a quarter in, and suddenly this sweeping, melodic opening chord fills the quiet booth, carrying lyrics all about taking time and living life together day by day. But Clara, well, she doesn't immediately melt into his arms. She's staring down at the terrifying blank slate of a brand new city where she knows absolutely no one. So she counters his absolute certainty with a very real, grounded fear. She tells him, it's a long road, Julian. Relationships sail, people drift. She is acknowledging the harsh, practical reality of the long road ahead of them. Julian, though, is absolutely not backing down. He just squeezes her hand and replies, "We'll make a wish and send it on a prayer." And honestly, this just brilliantly illustrates the song's underlying message of resilient partnership. He is insisting that, yeah, it won't be easy, but if they tackle this thing together, they're going to make it. So they actually choose to try. And looking at this timeline, the road they travel is definitely a difficult one. It starts with that Tuesday diner confession, right? But then it stretches into months of grueling long-distance compromises, taking late-night budget flights, dealing with financial constraints. It was no fairy tale, that's for sure. But that hard work eventually leads us to 5 years later, standing at a chapel altar.
Which brings us to section 2, choosing the long road, forever in my heart.
That rain-slicked highway diner is now just a distant memory. Julian is standing at the altar in a tailored suit. His hands are trembling a little bit, but not from a single shred of doubt. Sunlight is pouring through the stained glass windows, and the heavy chapel doors swing open. The acoustic intro of Love of a Lifetime fills the hall, and Clara steps into the aisle wearing a gown the color of spun sugar. All those exhausting late-night flights and compromises just completely fade away. He only sees his anchor. And when she finally reaches him at the altar, Clara leans in close, flashes this brilliant smile, and whispers the exact lyric they had claimed in that smoky diner half a decade ago, "Forever in my heart." It is the ultimate validation of their entire journey together. It proves Julian had indeed finally found his love of a lifetime, and he just smiles back, completely and utterly at peace. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Who is the person that makes you stop wondering? Because whether you're still out there looking for them or you're lucky enough to have already found them, finding that absolute romantic certainty is exactly what makes the long, sometimes really difficult road of life completely worth traveling. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring.